And she you look like she kind of thinking about it, but she doesn't know you, so it's like she gives a sort of a courage bow and goes, "I thank you, sir, but I could. The company would probably slow me down. Better that I take some cover soon enough as it is. So, thank you."
Very well. Very well. I give a slight bow and I say, I wish you a safe ride.
She sort of tugs her, still with a knife in hand, it sort of puts, cloak even to protect her snout from the rain and sort of, and her whiskers are sort of a little bit wet, so it's like a cat who's been just put in the bath. It's like,
I know how that feels since I'm a panther.
Yeah, and she just gets in the courser, and the courser just bolts. So the moment she rides, it's like, and it can, let him loose. She also knows how to wear around the courser because in another situation, just the lightning and the thunder would have scared her. The moment she would, freed her from the tree, or eventually would have bolted and broken the lash. But didn't. She was able to calm it just enough so that it can grow. And the courser's natural, I guess, her instinct is to just bolt it out of there to wherever her home might be. And she just goes off. So you're left out in the rain.
I got one more thing I want to do now, then, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I want to head back to the regular fairgrounds, and I want to look for some of my, I guess we'll call them the underworld contacts that may still be around.
Yeah, there's always, there's workers, laborers, there's always a little bit of a racket because there's people playing dice games and stuff like that, and there's people who collect taxes on that, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So there's always there, right? And there's a stronger presence because your friends do not or did not want anything bad to happen here. There was too many notables to them to take a risk, right? For them to, they didn't want any fights, any murders, anything like that. Would, hey, dicing and playing hooky and prostitutes, that's fine. But any utterly screaming or death or dying or punching, that was not going to fly with the guards. That is
we put the victim list back into crime.
At least for the time being. Anything that happens, probably will be resolved another time. Some bodies will end up probably being dumped in some alleys, but not here.
Oh, we always have to put a show on for everybody. But I do want to see if I can contact a element to see if they know anything about this lioness that I've actually just briefly met. We have enough features possibly to maybe start looking into her from the street level.
Okay, you can roll off. What do you have? What skills do you have that will allow you to tap into?
Well, I got streetwise. I think that'll just be to find the people to talk about this. Observation to remember the features and recall them. We also have maybe gossip to actually talk to these folks for a time, although that might be pushing it a little bit. And that's pretty much all I can think of at this moment that would be appropriate.
A mind roll with gossip, mind or presence, depending on how you're gonna approach it.
It's gonna be mind. I don't have presence, unfortunately.
Okay, so we gossip, streetwise, and mind, basically. And observation because you're gonna relate the information of what you saw. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sounds good. So we got mind, observation, gossip, streetwise. Did it come up? It's probably going slow again. I apologize. Oh, I got one success out of that. Oh dear, that was terrible.
You find, because it's raining right now, it's still very chaotic, and all the guards are out there. Your friends are a bit skittish, right? They're keeping their distance right now. They don't want to attract attention to themselves and be dragged into a tent and being beaten or worse, right? Be mistaken for, they don't want to cross a surly guard, King's Chosen other ones, who just wants to vent their frustration with them, just because, right? Besides, they also know that it's a lot of political intrigue right now, and again, they don't want to be part of it. So you know that they're there. You have a successor. You know they're still active. You see signs of them, but right now, tracking one down will be pretty difficult. You know.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to start with half information of what I was hoping for, but it's a good start, I'd say, for the evening. All right, I thank the people I speak to and tell them, watch out for the cheaters. And I'm going to go relax then at my little hovel tent or wherever I'm sleeping. Hopefully it's not out in the rain.
No, everybody more or less has a place. And people who are working also might go to the neighboring towns and stay there for the night. So, it's close enough because it's a space in between them, right? It's a long walk,
yes.
But yeah. And you hear it in the back, like, and somebody, elbow someone saying, "You heard that? No cheating." I says you, mate. Says you.
Oh, I love the nighttime. It's where all the characters are from.
Gregory, sorry. As you walk in, the mystery of where Lady Victoria has been resolved because she literally is just right in front of you, pacing back and forth. And when she sees you, she sort of, "Oh, Gregory," sort of throws her arms around you and hugs you.
My lady, give her a hug and go, "This is a bit of a tense moment, isn't it?"
Yeah, and she pulls back, and this is of all the things that could have happened, this had to happen.
All in one day, too.
It's almost as all the gods have turned their gaze away from us and decided to collectively. And she bites her tongue. She doesn't want to say the word that's coming to her mind. Forget about it.
No ill fortune of the gods here for sure, but only that of men.
So, forgive me for being very forward, but what happens now?
Well, I believe we're being tasked with the investigation, and I plan to keep a head on it. If we can find out who's responsible for this, maybe we can keep other fires from starting. We already have 2 of them boiling. Oh dear, you should have seen King Edward tonight. He was positively furious. I think only the common sense of everyone else around him managed to keep him at bay. Whew.
I don't know. I fear that his fury is not because of the death, so to speak. If I may be so bold, I would say that perhaps he's furious because an opportunity got snatched away from him.
Oh, I don't doubt that one bit. I'm sure he's grieving in his own way as well, and that does not help the matter. But such as it is, I have personal experience being the younger child. And I quite understand his feelings on this. So I can only imagine what he might do in a bit of rash or drunken state. So I'd hope perhaps to prevent him from folly.
He's outnumbered right now. That may change very quickly. He does have one strong ally, though. The Admiral.
Of course.
Whoever controls the waves controls the Isles.
Yes, were he suddenly to be taken out by this, he would have no one left then, would he?
Well, he would be a very weak position.
Indeed. Troubling all around. That's all it comes down to. Well, I suppose after a talk with him, at least maybe we can clear up some matter with him.
And she kind of lowers her eyes. And you've seen this before, where Victoria, the noble lady, kind of merges into the handmaiden, right? The servant of the queen. You notice you've been with her long enough that you notice those things, and she says, "Perhaps it's time to move the chess pieces along."
The same feeling as I, then. We could make a play right now, and everything could be good and secure. The only thing is that it does pain my heart, perhaps, that maybe justice would not be fully seen through if I cut corners in such a way.
Uh-huh. But
Such is the decision I must make.
I find myself that is this rage of our younger king continues. There will be war. And one is unwise to leave our enemies with all their weapons at their disposal.
Indeed, the fewer threats there are to the High King, the better, and the more stable we shall be afterwards. But such that it should fall on all of us to decide.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
I said enough. I should join my lady again.
I understand.
I don't know if I will be asked to return home or to go to Caer Corwin again. I could go either way. I have to confess something. You probably already know. You're sharper than you look. And she smiles at that.
I've tried to round out the edges.
Robert, I think, yeah.
Oops.
Went off the screen. So
we'll just nosy on for a second.
Yeah. And she says, I have informed my lady of everything that's happened. Perhaps I have been discreet with some of the details, but she just got the gist of it. She approves, as you probably already know, of all the things that we have done, such as they are. And although I fear that your holy man, Vesper, does not, but that's expected.
We have ways to make him happy.
she looks at you as if like, do we?
A few barrels of fine wine and will satisfy him, I'm sure. No matter how holy the matter. But it still pleases me so much to have this small bit of light despite all the darkness suddenly around us. Yes. And I'll of course embrace her fully and all such.
It also, and she pulls back after a suitable time. She says, but also that means that she might, let's be honest, reassign me back to be closer to her. I'm not sure, but if that were the case, I will make sure you know in due time. Do not want to spring this on you. Just wanted to be surprised. And if I can grant you any assistance, I will, however limited it might be.
Of course.
We can avoid the worst of it. I have taken too much of my time, and I should be rejoining my lady. So
you've never a moment is wasted with you, my lady. But I understand you must leave.
And puts a cowl on and leaves. Morning comes. It's still rain has ceased, but now everything is muddy and gross. And it's like an inch of mud, like the kind of mud that sort of that literally your boot, when it sinks into it, it sort of pulls back, or your mud sucking, boot sucking mud, right? It's deep because all the people walking and trampling it, and it's heavily overcast. It's great. Oh, it almost looks like almost already evening. That's how overcast it is. A lot of the attention goes back to the main tent, to the largest tent, which is the High King's tent. That's where now a long procession of people are moving to see the body in the newly built tent.
Time for everyone to pay their respects.
Yeah, and Spencer wakes up from a rather calm, if somewhat confusing sleep. I don't know how potent his herbs were, but it depends. Or they actually just calming, or actually hallucinatory. English first language, no, mine. And so Spencer, you wake up and you wake up basically because you realize ever so slowly as you open your eyes that it's not raining anymore. Like, oh, something's changed.
That's a small blessing.
Yeah.
Well, get himself dressed. No robes this time because he's going to be wearing his good armor.
Again, as you go out, the presence of the guards are everywhere. Clearly, the sides have been drawn. Most of the members of people that were with the High King are now apparently siding with and working together with the soon to be, because he hasn't been crowned yet, new High King. But there's also a lot of, you can clearly see them, a lot of guards on the in and around the section reserved for the younger king. And also you notice that that they're actually pulling up stakes. They seem to be preparing to leave. It's going to take a while because this is, we're talking about almost a circus type situation for each section. So, but they seem to be working on, dismantling and just leaving. Which is, something you clearly notice. And so that's a situation. Everybody wakes up. Everybody in the party is waking up wherever you happen to be. So the same thing I described to Spencer is what you're seeing from different points of view, your own point of view, different parts. That there's a long line of people that are paying their respects to the old High King, and also that seems the younger king is now putting up stakes.
Well, Spencer does have a job to do. He's supposed to go talk to those children who are handling the lances and try to get a deeper read on their mind if he could.
Yes.
I guess there's also the morning meeting where Gregory would ask to summon everyone.
Mm-hmm. So let's start with that.
All right, so everyone's at the tent. Breakfast is served, and Dennis, I'd like to introduce you to everyone here. These are my compatriots and co-workers, and allow me to introduce them. And I'll show off Harmon, Spencer, Vesper, and and of course myself. And everyone, of course, this is Dennis. He is offering his assistance. He is also one of the king's men. However, he's been on this island for some time.
Thank you. I don't know who Dennis is. My name is Duncan.
Oh. Sorry, there's someone else
okay.
actually called Dennis, so I defaulted. My
Hello,
bad.
my
So
name is
Duncan.
an alias.
I've had worse aliases. I used to go by the name Claudio. Anyway, no, seriously, hello, everybody.
Yes. So at Dennis's offer, he's gone to look into things, and I'll ask. I did it again. And
but
Duncan,
that's really on point. That's really on point. Like, oh yeah, this Dennis over here, sure, no problem.
I
he's
think
beneath my notice. He's but a commoner. He won't mind.
I mean, when the Lord starts calling you Dennis, I guess your name is just Dennis.
So Duncan.
I guess he won't be surprised when I call him something else.
So Duncan, then, what have you learned since last night? What do you have to share with us?
A lot of my contacts last night are a little skittish to talk, but I was able to find a few things interesting. There was apparently a small altercation at the Admiral's tent last night. Apparently, a man and a woman in there were in a heated argument. It seems like the woman was pressing somebody, possibly the Admiral. Couldn't really tell. They sounded incredibly angry. On some sort of matter that caused the woman to be ejected from her tent and the fairgrounds. The woman's name, at least as she gave it to me, was Miss Madeline. She herself is... I don't know if that name rings a bell.
Well, it does. It does. We've spoken with her before, actually. Interesting that she would show up. I suppose her desire is not sated.
She, a couple of marks. Is she a lioness?
Indeed so.
A small ribbon around her ear, yellowish in color?
Just the one.
Okay. So what does she have to do with the Admiral?
And Gerger will scratch his chin for a bit, like deeply contemplating the things that we have discovered before. And will say... At this time, nothing at all. But she does serve an important function nonetheless. She has given us information that's very valuable. and confirmed others. But that is all that needs to be said about that matter for now. It is not directly related to what has happened, merely into how it might play out.
Yes. Well, whatever the case is, it seems that the Admiral was very adamant to remove her from his presence last night. It seems like whatever their discussion was, I only caught glimpses, I only heard glimpses of it. But their discussion was incredibly heated. It seems that she was pushing him to resolve something. Apparently that they are possibly related, maybe cousins of some kind, and that the Admiral is not into it, whatever that may be.
Of course. This all checks out with what we have already learned.
So I did not give you anything new, it seems. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, but, well, had we not caught on to it, this would be the point. Anything else?
It's really cold and wet out right now. I would suggest wearing very sturdy boots.
Well, I happen to have just such a pair right here. My nice mud-wading pair. So, I suppose then on to the plans for the day. I believe on the top of my schedule is I must in fact speak with the Admiral. One way or another, I must make sure this happens. I will already be sending a letter out to invite him to the tent on cordial grounds. However, I do bring with him my authority as magistrate that I need to interview him. Hopefully he will respond without trouble, but if so, my man Harmon here shall assist me in that manner. Spencer, you understand your task, and I still believe that is the best course. We must continue on this lead and find it at all cost. This assassin must not be allowed to get away with this. Not at this time.
I mean, maybe some other time, but right now we're, not encouraging regicide.
And so then that leaves Vesper and Duncan then. So you two understand what the situation is. The assassination. We must speak with the Admiral. And of course, High King is dead as well. What are your evaluations of the situation as is, and what do you think you can do?
At this time, I must apologize for my naivete. For even though I can see the good that exists in all people, to ponder the mind of someone who would wish evil upon others for their own personal gain, why, to even try and fathom what might be going through the mind of, say, a pickpocket or a cut purse or a thief, the horribleness that stirs within the blackest recesses of their souls. It's just so abhorrent that these people could actually walk among us. It just makes my...
So I take it you're perhaps not keen on joining Spencer today. That I understand. But there is another matter which I think has already been arranged. I think you still wanted to speak with Belgrove, and we do have other reasons to speak with them besides, if you recall. I trust you could handle that inquiry, right?
Crud. Okay, I'm looking through my notes again. Which one was Belgrave again?
He's a druid. Belgrove is the druid.
Oh, the druid. Well,
Yes.
I thought I had all the druids in my notes here.
No, who is assistant to Montague, the Count, now Baron Montague.
Right, and he's involved in the whole plot and shenanigans.
Oh,
that
okay.
Duncan has
Sorry,
done.
I don't have that as Belgroff. I have that as Balgroff.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Is
of course,
Belgrove
I think he
correct,
had some questions for your book as well, I think.
Questions for my
I'm not
book?
sure.
I'm not writing a book.
No, the book of with the squiggly lines and the ley lines and all that.
Oh, the mysterious book that we haven't been able to translate. Yes, really what I should do is repair away to the scriptorium. Now that I have been given office by the bishop, a secular authority that, well, it's not a secular, a religious authority that, kind of outranks you,
Of course.
I should immediately attend to my duties and find out what sort of, compensation the position gets.
I I believe that'll be a good angle in the future. However, Belgrave is here now, and we still need to speak with him. However, there's only so much time in the day. If you could speak with him about this nonsense going around and find the truth, I would be very appreciative. And of course, maybe you could ask for further information while you're there.
So
Maybe that will help you on your studies as well.
So instead of furthering my career,
I'm asking you further, of course.
into the ultimate mysteries of life and death, as could only be understood by those indoctrinated in those great mysteries by our higher masters, you want me to go hang out with an angry pagan?
An angry pagan involved in scandal, yes.
Well,
if you don't think you're up for the job, I understand that too.
No, I suppose I should put aside my pride and vainglory and hew closer to my oath.
You could also stay with Spencer as he does his duties, and the two of you could go speak with him after together.
Well, honestly, if we're going to go talk to the druid, we need Spencer. Because Spencer can sort of bypass the whole talking part.
So, Vesper, for now, accompany Spencer in his duties, and then you shall both speak with Balgruff afterwards. I'm sure you can handle this task.
Well, also, like one thing that really helps is because low-level telepathy, because he's a druid, so he might resist. But low-level telepathy will let you read his surface thoughts. So the goal is I can try and get him to think about things, and you can try to read his mind when he thinks about that.
Spencer does have but one use today.
Well, we'll work on it.
And that leaves you.
So I think that makes more sense that I and Spencer should go together. Also, even though I can talk to the guy, I'm kind of on the supply side of information. I'm not really that good on the
demand side, yes.
The gathering side.
Well, maybe you could just strike up a pleasant conversation. I don't.
Well, that I can do.
I can only do one talk a day.
But yeah, really, Spencer and I should do this together.
Okay, so you two shall accompany each other. Harmon, of course, is always with me. And so, Duncan, what task do you feel you are best suited for?
Well, as I mentioned last night, most of it was trying to get as close as possible to find out information for you. That apparently did not work as well. So I would like to reacquaint myself with a few of my contacts this morning and maybe try and resume my search for information.
That would be good. And afterwards, you can go ahead and reconvene with Spencer and Vesper here. If they've discovered anything and need to follow up on a lead, I'd like you to assist them.
I could definitely help with that. I'm sure you fine gentlemen will not mind an extra hands or paws involved in this.
Wonderful. Then I think we all know what we must do, and the best of luck to all. All right.
This is good toast.
So basically, the attack is like Gregory is going to go and pay the respects, and
try to get the Admiral for an interview.
Trying to get out the Admiral for an interview. Duncan is going to try to get his contacts, get more information on the situation, and the rest of you are going to try to first question the children, and after the children, well, the squires. You're going to question.
Would we be able to? Well, should we put off the children, the squires, because I can only read one mind a day?
Mm-hmm.
So whose mind do we read?
I don't think we really need to read the minds of children. I mean, they're children. We can pretty much take them, right?
If I recall, the reason was because their minds had been blinded or messed with in some way, presumably magical.
These are the ensorcelled children. Well, then, even if we don't have access to the mind reading spells, I mean, Spencer, you also have inquiry as a skill, right?
Yes.
All right. So in other words, I would need you anyway because I don't.
Mm-hmm. The question is also that they were also to forget what they have seen. That was
right.
So yeah, magic
But
would be probably
even when someone's ensorcelled to forget those things, a skilled cognoscente can go into the minds and pull that back out. And you're skilled, right? No one's better than you, Spencer.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yep. Kind, not the same as true. All right.
So let's start with that. Let's start with you two.
But I should also go with you when you interview the children because I can at least identify supernatural stuff.
And the children basically have been kind of forgotten, and in all this, they're under basically a lean-to with a single guard. They have been tied, at least around the hands. Their feet are free, but doesn't do much because they'll have to if they try to run away, they'll probably be captured real quick. And they seem to be completely dejected by this moment and kind of hungry too, right? In all the hubbub, they've been forgotten. So the first thing that happens is like, "Sir, can we have some?" They go to Vesper, sort of plead with Vesper, say, "Sir, can we have some water, please? Just some water. We cannot drink from the bloody rains. We're not allowed. Some water, please." And there's like a barrel you can sort of get up.
We don't even have to do a barrel. Why, yes, the Lord works in generous way. Or not the Lord, sorry. The divine works in generous ways. I just need to point to Spencer. Hey, Spencer, make some water.
I'm not an elementalist.
What? Oh, never
That's
mind.
me.
Yep. Well, barrel it is then.
And then
I mean, you're not an elementalist. I thought you were a useful wizard.
I'm most useful of wizards.
Well, useful in certain ways.
Either I have a very bad case of deja vu, or we've had this joke before.
I think we have.
I like to make this joke. It's my favorite.
And they drink. Two of them drink, and their parched lips. Even though it's been raining a lot, they haven't had food or water for probably 12
Did any of
hours.
you? Yeah. Well, did any of you die? I can consecrate graves now.
No. They're. Are you dead yet? No. Okay. Did you
We
die?
can fix that.
But they're hungry though, and it's like, "Sir, you said that we would be freed if we cooperated. We said everything that we know. It's not our
Yeah,
fault."
but one task remains. Just be calm, be patient. I have but one thing to do today.
Yes.
If this works,
I will echo it. It may be that while your minds are free from sin, your souls are not.
They recoil. It's like, and the one guard looks over his shoulder. It's like,
That's right. Oh, you're banned. None of you are free from sin.
"Oh, cursed in my eyes."
Yes. So, no, all of you must pray. For even though you have no knowledge of it in the moment, your souls know that you have what you have done. So now, bow down your heads, and pray for penance.
They
Welcome
pray.
to the good. I'm ordained now. We're doing the real side of religion now. All of you are sinners should be ashamed of yourselves, especially you. I say, pointing at Spencer.
yes,
And-
Father, forgive me. I have sinned.
It's not for me to forgive you. It's for the divine to do it. But anyway, yeah, all of you bow down your heads and pray, and maybe it'll work.
And they start praying. They're scared and they're hungry.
Don't fake it.
They can't.
Allow me to read you. Please. I'm just, I'm going to try and bring their thoughts to the horrible things that they have done in some hope that this may actually help Spencer here when he tries to read their minds.
And
Roll up.
and while he's doing that, Spencer is remembering his mentor's training and dealing with people who have specifically been ensorcelled and had their memories blocked.
Yeah, you basically are back into a scene where it's in the upper floors of the tower, and there's not a huge cauldron, it's a small cauldron, and there's this vapor, and you realize that as you smell it, it sort of makes you a bit woozy. And he says, "Spencer, there are many things that can alter the mind. The mind is not like a piece of written paper. This absorbs the ink. It is a convoluted landscape of dreams and imaginations. And anything that can alter our perspective can cloud the mind. However, basic emotions always ring true. Focus on the fear, the elation, the love and admiration. Use them to guide you to what you need to find. Find the right emotion and follow it like a path to the truth within. And then you start the series of exercises where, very much like Harry Potter in the sixth movie, they start, bouncing off each other, trying to get rid of each other's minds. So go ahead and, yeah. You have a D8 because of their emaciated and difficult position. So, yeah.
I've already got my 3 successes.
Yeah, you got 3 successes. Yeah, they're not resistant.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, speaking as someone who believes that everyone's soul is like a contract between them and the hereafter, the idea that you can just pull strings on their very minds to turn them into puppets and instruments of your will horrifies me to my core.
And you do follow
successes, so wow, all right.
You follow this pattern into their minds, and you see different memories. And it's very much one of fear and consternation. They don't want to. The one thing is, we don't want to die. We don't want to die.
And to clarify, he only gets one of them. So
yes, yeah. But no,
hopefully he gets the best one.
Yeah, he gets you get the older one, right? And you get an image, and the image starts with him sort of questioning. It's like, sir, what are you doing here? It's like, I came to bring some equipment. It's like, but we have everything we need. It's like, no, you've been told to do this and that and whatever. And as this man is working, and the squires are like, well, I guess we have to do this. He offers them drink, and you get to see the face of the man, and you recognize his face. You recognize the face of the assistant to the lady that died in the manor. In fact, you almost, your imagination, your image and their image sort of merge, and you can see him, the same image you pulled out of the caretaker of the cemetery as he came to pay for the bodies that they were extracting.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to tell Presper, not Presper, Father Vesper this as he sees it.
Yeah, that's right. Father now.
And also the image sort of kind of fades, and the boy sort of collapses.
Wait, I apologize. I'm a brother, not a father.
Brother, yeah. And it's cloudy, and you see him say certain words that are, kind of sense you don't have to use these words, but sometimes, like all magic, you can reinforce your will by certain, rituals and the like, and you recognize the words, right? Ancient Calabrian, designed to sort of basically forget. You're free from your fears, my son. And you hear something that you all remember is like, which is not part of the incantation, but you heard it before. That is, that which was broken shall be made whole. That which was divided shall be made. No, that which was divided shall be made whole. That which was broken shall be made anew. And the child's memory, so the squire's memory, so it goes black, and then as you retrace back, you kind of see memories of the original interrogation, etc., and all that. But you clearly recognize him. It's the same individual that was in the cemetery with the lady who ended up being dead in her own manner because she was preyed upon the undead. So clearly, this is part of the perhaps that conspiracy. This is the same person, and almost like for a moment when you sort of pull back, you can almost see him, face to face with him, like he was there, just for a moment.
Yeah, where have you seen this face? Sorry, where have you seen this face before, Spencer?
Damn, I know the DM just said it, but my memory is so shit.
I can repeat it. Go ahead.
No, by all means, help me out here. I should have been putting this in notes.
No problem. It's
The
literally
assistant
the
of the
same.
necromancer that we found before.
Yeah, it's literally the same face you saw in the memories of the Undertaker, the keeper of the cemetery, the small cemetery, because he was first with her the first time they did the contract, and later on he would come back to pay for the bodies. Remember that the last time,
body thief.
Yeah, but the last time he didn't show up, so the Undertaker was waiting for him to show up, and he didn't. So he excavated the bodies and had to basically rebury them because he couldn't sell them. And when you went to the lady's manor, she was dead at the hands of the undead, but there was no sign of him. Although you did find in her basement not only books and other material to do with necromancy, but also with cognoscenti aspects to it.
Well, it's no surprise that the chief malefactor here is a practitioner of wizardry.
Color me surprised.
And you know that was she was connected. If she wasn't it, she was connected to Lady Veritas. That sort of that was part of the conspiracy to blow up the cathedral and everything else.
Right. But yeah, though it makes sense to have a high-powered cognoscenti wizard. He might not actually be a necromancer. I mean, just he gave the necromancy book to other people who, well, got what they deserved. So, all right, well, that confirms a lot that there is indeed one powerful sorcerer wandering around and sorceling the minds of the weak and the oppressed.
Also, he seemed to be very good at discussing because he basically looks like, in the image you saw, basically he looked like a laborer. And in the other image, he looked like a manservant, right? He's somebody who seems very comfortable, able to change appearance. And you also remember that something similar happened to the workers that went to the ship to pick up the stuff. They couldn't really remember what was happening.
Yep.
And that also the worker that was going to basically set up everything, when you interrogated him mentally, magically, his mind just snapped. So it broke.
What could be a sorcerer, but could also be a pagan. They're very skilled at hiding their true beliefs.
So that seems to be a common thread. What do this conspiracy, other than creating chaos, has anything to do with everything else that's happening?
It could be a pagan wizard.
Well, destabilizing the land. If anyone opposes the rule of the the kings, I mean. The problem is, technically, we represent a foreign power. Our foreign power would benefit from disrupting the politics here. And not to mention that cognoscenti magic, while it has its roots in a coma, is also refined in Calabria. In other words, but that's a coma and Calabria, two places that aren't here. I mean, all of this would point to a foreign agent who's infiltrating and sowing chaos. It can't really point to the pagans because even though I might want to accuse the pagans of kind of doing this, they've made it abundantly clear that in their own faith that whatever regent is currently in charge of the land has the mandate of the land to rule. And thus, they wouldn't, a faithful druid in their own ranks wouldn't do this because it causes bad weather and calamity, if what we see outside is to even be believed. So it would either have to be a turncoat druid who is working against everyone, which once again is unlikely. I really think we have an invasion by a foreign power here. That would really go with the very rare weapon that we found that was going to be used for the king assassination. The fact that it's expensive and highly minted. Everything here is pointing to Calabri's intervention.
And
I mean, what say you?
You do have a point, yes. That gun especially. It does point to something outside of our shores.
I mean, my first suspect would be the Bisclave, who have access to both the Indicators, who are highly skilled spies, and the Ferobians, who are joke wizards, but I wouldn't put it past them for someone, because the Dunwasser College has ethics, whereas the Ferobians do not. You're Dunwasser, right? In the Dunwasser tradition?
I was trained privately.
Right. Well, that's also a tradition. You're supposed to be trained privately and pointedly anonymously. So, all right. Well, so foreign agent that apparently is skilled at disguise because no one can really spot them. They're very good at what they do. I suppose we should let the children go, right?
Yeah, you have the authority to do so.
Yes.
Okay. Well then, I need all of you to think about the other horrible sins and crimes and other vainglorious transgressions that you've done. Because remember, it's not I who needs to forgive you, it's the divine. But you're free to go.
And the guard goes like, gets a knife, cuts her ties. It's like, oh. Look, and they just
We have them bound?
Yeah. I mean, they're
All
prisoners. They're prisoners. And they just go and basically they go to a nearby tent where there's some
children.
food.
Just lock the door, threaten to hit them. You know.
They basically, these are tents, so there's not a lot, unless they take them to one of the nearby villages, they were keeping them closed. So yeah, there was
that is a problem. We should have dug a pit.
Yeah. Buried them to the
nest. That's standard. You dig a pit about 4.5 feet deep and line it with spikes. You sound like you've never run daycare at a Ren Fair before.
I sadly have not. That is not in my repertoire.
Well, remember next time to bring your shovels.
Gregory, you send the strong worded letter.
Mm-hmm.
The admiral shows up with some guards, but they are the king's chosen. Actually, no, they're Marines from the naval squadron. 2 of them.
Okay. And there's just Harmon here and me. So, and I have like a nice table set out. I have like a chess set too, and some drinks. And it's like, oh, please, Admiral, come and sit.
He clearly is someone who is, how can I put this, preoccupied. Their mind is seems to be preoccupied. Like he said, it was like, yes, of course, the sooner we deal with this, the better.
I agree.
So you have some questions for me.
I do. I would like to just take a moment to engage with you. You've been under such a lot of stress lately, I'm afraid. I do hope that you're feeling okay. And I'll offer him to like play the game in front of us.
He doesn't partake.
Okay.
Like, I find the real thing far more interesting than these.
Well, the past a few minutes while we talk.
Simulations.
We're friends and we're peers. There's no need to rush.
He raises an eyebrow when he says friends, right? He nods to the peers part, but he raises an eyebrow when you say friends.
Yeah, okay.
So, magistrate, what can I be of service to you today?
Well, I think the first matter, of course, to clear up is your perception of events that have occurred. You were in the jousting tournament. Please, tell me your story first. I think that's the place to start.
Most odious tragedy. I suspected, many people have suspected, that the young king liked to test himself and took the moniker of the Black Knight. Normally, of course, there's many regulations and inscriptions and the like that must be paid. So unless you're someone with some connections, you cannot pull such fairy tale nonsense. But he liked the idea, and also I suspect that he could not, if anyone had jousted him without covering his identity, they would have thrown the match. I mean, who wants to be the person who beats a king? It might give you glory in the field of honor in one moment, and then damn you for the rest of eternity for the rest. At least politically speaking, not physically.
Of course, the stakes were already quite high.
Yeah. As far as I know, all the lances were of regulation make. In fact, we are prohibited. The only thing we are allowed is our mount and our armor. But the weapons are all something that is given by the officials. They're distributed before the match, of course. And our squires, which sadly have been detained, I hope that can be resolved soon. The young lads are just, doing their jobs. Are there to watch over them, basically, and make sure the armor is polished, which they did, and the weapons were ready. I don't think it was any other fault. I don't think they have the necessary. I guess the stream apparently ended.
Just keep going.
Okay. And apparently collapse. That's the thing that happened. Even if it had been faulty, it's a very rare chance that something like that could ever happen. Specifically, 1 in a million shot. Unfortunately,
Indeed.
that I was to be an instrument such a thing, unwittingly, of course, it disturbs me to know it.
Yes. I will say, of course, I could not possibly fathom you going along with such a plot if it were so. It would be nothing but the death of your career here.
A plot, you say? I don't know what you mean. Like I said, it's just an accident. Probably someone probably tried to repair a not so broken lance and decided to pass it on as the real thing. I heard of these things before, maybe, but that's the extent of it.
I don't suppose you've seen anyone. You didn't see anyone who didn't seem like they belonged while you were there, since you were very close to the event.
I was very busy, besides, of course, participating, hard riding and all that. We were wearing that heavy armor. And he looks over to Harmon and is like, it wears on the body. It's very hot. And to try to, finish the rounds as quickly and efficiently as possible. To be honest, there was a part of me who actually hoped that I lost. I mean, because it was so bloody hot in there.
Would hardly have been a disgrace to it, but well, here we are now.
Of course, yes. Fairly defeated, of course. I'm not saying that I would have given up just because.
I'd hope not.
But plot, you say? No.
I suspect there may be more at foot. Hence is my concern to clear it from the air as much as I can. But if you say that you hadn't seen any, then I have to take your word upon that.
My word is my bond.
But of course, there are other interests involved. The king and his brothers have always been a little bit agitated with each other. He did have the altercation the last night, and you were very close with the young king, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, how can I say this? Young Edward, let me check that I'm not saying the wrong name. Me, the GM, with my
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The young Edward, he is what we might call a progressive figure. He wants to see change come to the Isles. He wants more trade with the outside world, especially Calabria and Triskelion, just kidding, particularly, and just wants change, but not simply for change's sake. We are mired in tradition, and while we are advancing in the fields of war and battle, adapting more fusils and more cannonades and that such, in other areas we are lacking in progress. And I believe that that Edward could help us in this, but alas, with the current situation and decisions that have been made, well, I suppose he can have influence in the future once tempers have calmed down. But for now, I think the most valuable thing would be for everyone to pay their respects and have the situation settle in, as it were.
Of course. I'm of course very familiar with his politics, but I'm asking if you had heard anything from him or perhaps his court. The tensions were high. No one made any such suggestion of such a thing, would they? Did they? And this is me probably trying to pry an inquiry and try to see, like, how much of what has he said, like, been truly genuine and such like that.
Yeah, you gotta have to roll for that one.
Because it does sound like he's dodging a little bit. So
Yeah.
I guess this would be something like will inquiry.
Yeah, will inquiry.
All right, so I got some bonus on that. I am a magistrate. This is my authority, and this is very important. We all realize this. Nobility. Would that pull here?
Technically, you are the same station, but he is a military man and you are a noble. So yeah, you outrank him. If only you're a peer in, I guess, in military manners, but you're not a social peer. You are above him. So.
Right, so I can go ahead and pull that and say, like, yeah, I do have more weight to throw about here, so it doesn't matter that you tell me what is the truth here.
Yeah.
I mean, he does technically have his noble heritage hidden, but he's not flaunting it, and he's not going to, I believe. So, let's see, and I think that is really it. I'll add an heraldry to this. No. Okay, so we have a D8, D6, and 2D12 for inquiry on this matter, and that's 2 successes.
Oh, he's gonna
unless he is rolling something opposed here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna challenge on that.
If he doesn't have anything better than a D8, then I win, which is good. He didn't even have it, so he didn't have a chance, and that is a big loss. 2 successes.
Yeah, you get that he's being. He wants to get out of there. So plus, he doesn't want to answer any of these questions, especially when you bring up the king. The fact that he went into description of something like everybody knows, right? It's just he's putting a big small.
He dodged it.
Yeah, and but he's not very good at it. He's clearly he's out of debt, right? And literally the sort of the camera pans to the chessboard, and you remember the fact that he was described as being very energetic and brave, impulsive, but not very clever. Not somebody of high wisdom or intellect. So he's scrambling basically to sort of put up a wall and keep you from answering that question. And his answer basically is, well, why?
Like, I need to know the truth.
Well, the king confides in me from time to time. It is at his pleasure, not mine. And of course, he understands that I am first and foremost an admiral of His Majesty's the High King's flotilla. So, well, there's certain things we can't share for obvious reasons. And so there's that, I'm afraid.
I see. Well, very interesting. Well, I would definitely be very, very strange if he was interested in the middle brother at this point. Well, I guess taking out a rival would have been one thing, but
don't
such
get
a
me
plot, I
wrong.
suppose, would be.
He is, as far as I can tell, aggrieved the loss of both a sibling and a father. I mean, king or no king, he is still very much a soul with a heart and
Indeed.
a grieved spirit. But you have to understand that while I'm in his good graces, I could not claim to be part of his court or confident of him for obvious reasons.
I see.
And that is, you don't even roll. He's lying. And he's
as thick as he can get it, and we know the whole time.
The fact they tell you, I don't got that. What specifically about you don't know, but yeah, he's lying. He knows.
Yeah, he's heavily involved.
Yeah.
I see. I'm just trying to think how to transition to the next thing here, or specifically which. And I'll have to go. That does bring up some other thoughts. Dang, it is really hard for me to hook this in. I need like a 5 seconds to think here, because it is very tough to transition from, by the way, you killed someone, to, let's talk about your parents' sex life. So that's a little bit hard to wiggle into, because I also want to make it clear what the position here is.
Uncles. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out like what my exact objective needs to be here, because in Gregory's mind right now, he could either completely destroy him because he could, or he could maybe try to use the leverage that I have right now to change his position. If I can literally drag a resource away and change hands, maybe that could be valuable. So I'll go ahead and begin with. I'm glad still that you can be of some sort of friend to him. But the thing that matters the most these days is, of course, loyalty to the High King above all else. You understand that, of course, right?
He looks back and is like, was that ever in doubt, sir?
I would hope not, but I understand that, of course, there are always people with alternative motives or means and past of various secrets and things that they wouldn't ever want to show up. Uh, and I was hoping perhaps I could hear uh, a more positive relationship between you and the new High King, as you will be his admiral, of course.
Already his admiral, sir. And my life, such as it is, humble as it is an open book.
And this may mean in the future you might not be able to spend as much time with Edward, of course.
Why follow orders, sir? If the new king has me deployed somewhere else, then so be it.
But there has been some curious things happening of late.